To all you philosopher types out there who have entertained the notion of lack of free will, who usually based on the notion of determinism, I think. Have you ever told like a regular non-philosopher type person that you don't believe in free will? Based upon, well, you know, and tried to argue for it based upon determinism. They literally shake with terror. Well, no, not literally, but metaphorically. Seem to. It's just a notion that on the face of it they cannot confront. That's the way it seems to be with Inmendham. What I see in his replies is just metaphoric terror, perhaps tending to his sheep, you know, worrying that, you know, that's quite a pervasive argument, persuasive argument, persuasive point of view. He's built a structure based upon some pretty solid presumptions there. My sheep need reassuring, and so I'll make a video supposedly in reply to that video, but deal with nothing of that structure and the main premises therein. And what my video will have to do to reassure my sheep, my flock, is to say, you know, this guy's full of shit. You know, he's just squirming. He's lying. He's a despicable person. You know, he just wants to. He's got the motivation that he believes he only has to think of himself as supreme, and he wants letting off his moral hooks and so forth. Even when the whole video is about that not even I exist. Yeah, he doesn't turn to that point at all. Insofar as he does make philosophical arguments, each time he begins, it's with a direction to plummet back into the obfuscation of his own philosophy. That he's just like, look, this guy Isladay's made some content. How can I get back on track and make all the assertions I've been making for the last 10 years? So he's a despicable person, and it follows the same old. I've been watching Inmendham now for 6 or 7 years on and off, and he's a despicable person. He doesn't realise blah 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 minutes of old assertions. Once he feels he's losing fluency, perhaps he just slips back into he's a despicable person. He's saying this, he's saying that, he's saying this, he's saying my sister doesn't exist, he's saying, I mean, all utter unjustifiable crap, and beasting of my position. It's because of this inability that he tries to negate this criticism by these interjectory videos, but he fares no better in those. He just thinks that if he's played the video, well, at least he can't be accused of not giving you your say, or misrepresenting you because he actually played the video. But it's so interjectory that nobody watching the video can make any sense of the secondary content therein, and they are ostensibly of the style of what I've just said. Continually interject saying what a despicable person this is. Where can I go from here? I can just plummet with direct assertions into my theory, saying what I think the truth is. The truth is feelings matter. The truth is I know the feeling matters. The truth is it's obvious. The truth is this. The truth is that. And this despicable person doesn't get it, and he's so despicable. He thinks he's this, so he's despicable. He has despicable motives, and back into assertions. I know how this is obviously true. He doesn't get how obviously true it is. This is the character of every Inmendham video for the last 10 years. So difficult to get through to him. And it's because, like the non-philosophical person, he's married. It's called being married to your opinion and your position. Too much so. I mean, one has to put one's heels and give pushback to arguments from the position you stand in. But as a practical matter, in the sense of how Pyro says he's kind of wandering the world, trying to meet other people with different opinions. It's with a more philosophical quality of humbleness. That's not the word I was looking for. You know, you tell somebody who's had parents who believe in the death penalty, who's been told all their life, you know, that murderers deserve to die, and then they see horrific murders of children, murders of lonely women caught on their own, prostitutes, whatever, I don't know, and they love to. They've invested 10 years of ranting in their own right as an adult about how death penalty should exist, and then they meet somebody like me who says, and usually what I call tea room conversation. You know, everybody's in the tea room going, yeah, we should kill people, yeah, put the murderers to death, yay. And then they meet somebody like me who says, actually, I don't think we should. I think murderers are more often made. Murderers are mentally ill people, and so on and so forth, and position, and it's the same kind of resolute, dogmatic positions you meet in everyday life with those kind of issues as you do with Inmendham. And guess what? When you meet dogma like that, you can recognize it by the reaction, because these people also get very angry. Yeah, they've enjoyed getting on the soapbox to popular appeal and popular pats on the back, but being scrutinized and has to shore up some of these assumptions they make, you know, they're at a loss, and the only place in that confusion is to go is anger. So it is with Inmendham. And as I say, the whole point of this is that, you know, the video says there's no I, yeah, and throughout his video all he does is prefix everything with I perceive, clearly there's an I am. Never, and he actually asserts that my whole game is saying that there is only me. you know, in solipsism, which just shows a complete ignorance of solipsism and ignorance and failure to take in the purpose of the video he's supposed to be replying to. That I'm actually denying the I of me, the possibility of speaking in legitimately in the truest sense, first person sense for anybody, but over his head. So I'll just play out this little bit where I'm like in supreme agreement for like a sentence, and then he just starts sprinkling in all the first person perspectives with agency and reasoning and all those things that little eyes can do.
Again, it's just this whole offensive argument that somehow you're not a determinist if you accept the fact that we are individually programmed computers, that we have individual responses to circumstances based.
Right, so when I talked about feelings as responses, just responses, computed responses, it was rejected. But I'm in agreement here. Yeah, we're just individual computers responding, right? Now, individual computers, he'll talk about calculations and perceiving and stuff. Now, to a computer, yeah, to the computer, it doesn't make a calculation. The idea of the computer making a calculation for us is a purpose, the notion of a purpose, an agency, an I that we have imprinted to it, yeah. The computer could never argue, you can't deny I'm making calculations, blah blah blah. The computer is just a Turing machine, chugging, yeah, doing its dominoes with bits, with flip-flops. Turn it to 1, turn it to 0, turn it to 1, turn it to 1, turn it to 1, turn it to 0, yeah. And so the notion of information and meaning is devoid to this concept of we are just a computer, right? But now he's going to prejudice and realize that Jesus, I'm sounding like Heithler there. Let's undo that narrative about how computer-like we are.
Desperate fucking bullshit. So anyway, I don't know if there's anything else to say. Again, it's just this whole offensive argument that somehow you're not a determinist if you accept the fact that we are individually programmed computers.
I do accept the fact
that we have individual responses.
I do accept the fact we have individual responses, just Turing responses.
To circumstances.
Yes, to circumstances. That is, there's the external world, and we have responses.
Based on our individual programming.
Based on our individual programming, yes.
That those programming networks are, in a sense, tough.
In a sense. What sense? This is the problem. This is how you subvert an argument. Sometimes, I mean, if it's not for definite explanatory purposes, or somebody's failing to grasp something, is talking in a sense all the time is a way of not talking concretely. So now he's not talking concretely. He made very positive assertions which I was total agreement with, yeah, but now the sense talk comes in, the inner sense things. And that's kind of my challenge to him is, yeah, all right, I have your opinion, and your opinion's true in the sense. That's my criticism. That the truth you claim is only in a sense.
Tied to each other, that they do have a bit competition where they.
Right, now, as I said, circumstances, somebody else enters my circumstances, so yeah, that's concretely true. What he just said was, the competition bit. Yeah. Now this is where Inmendham, he actually knows better. I've heard him speak, and one of the things he's married to, and that has perverted his whole outlook, is the meaning of evolution. He understands the fact of evolution, but he has, and often he actually understands there's no meaning in evolution, but he's built a philosophy with an interpretation to a meaning to evolution. There is no competition. Yeah, that's a metaphor. This is a way of not speaking concretely. I don't try to outcompete them. Yeah, I'm just a machine, and that's just a way of speaking. So there is no competition. Yeah, it's called selection, where it's understood selection is a metaphor, that what is actually happening is there's variation, and it's just a matter of fact that some progress by pushing out, well, that's a wrong metaphor, by gobbling up resources quicker than the others can, right? Which is essentially outbreeding the others, and the others die off. There's no competition.
Throw their bits into the field, so to speak.
Yeah, we interact with each other because I am a part of your reality and you are a part of my reality. But there's no person throwing, there's no I throwing. It's just the as you put forward, the computer that responds to my environment, that is me, has output, and there's the computer that is you, that responds to you, that has your output.
Speak in the battle bit for,
again, no battles.
What the bit truth will be as a...
There's no bit truth.
Civilization, all that other kind of stuff. And that all takes place, and it takes place, and we educate each other.
See, now we've got the agency now, and the whole forgotten, like the computers on the minds on the network, on the internet, and it's trying to educate other people, and it's a nonsense. No, that's just a way of speaking. Yeah, that if there's no I, then, and we are just computers running our program, then we're not really in that sense. That becomes a metaphor. It becomes an unconcrete way of speaking. If a computer's just running its program, it's not trying to educate you. It's just doing.
And we de-inform, we misinform each other, we do lots of things.
So we don't try to educate each other. We don't try to misinform each other in a concrete sense. That's just the computer doing its thing and a way of speaking. Just the same way the giraffe doesn't try to grow a longer neck.
Things to each other in these subtle interactions we have, but bottom line is they're individual.
See, I've rambled on long enough. Just make an assertion.
Devices programmed.
Oh, we actually agree with that. We are individual devices, and we're just programmed.
Do calculations.
We don't do calculations. Calculation is the injection of the I, which is the whole point of the video. Which you to deal with it, you have to deal with my argument. You have to deal with it on its terms, or just say, of course, there's an I, and I won't have it any other way. Which
they do different calculations based on what the information they have been programmed with is.
So we don't do calculations in that sense. The computer doesn't do calculations, right? The computer only to calculate, in the sense Inmendham's talking about, is to do so with a purpose, and we have no purposes. We're just a Turing machine running our code. Flip the bit. You know, the chemicals increasing. You know, the dendrites extending. We have contact. We have a synapse. You know, the juncture with another synapse. More chemicals. We have electrical potentials forming. We have an action potential. Trigger. Yeah, the action potential has been exceeded. Now a definite current flows along the dendrite and triggers the next neuron. That's what's going on in there. That's all. Yeah, every bit analogous to the chunk domino Turing machine.
And there's just no point in denying that the calculus.
There's just no point. It's simple. I'm right. Don't worry, my little flock. He's frightened you with all this hard determinism talk. Don't worry. It's full of rubbish.
Calculations take place in individual 100 billion strong brain vessel.
See, so look at the complexity of this. The complexity means there is an I.
And there is no thinking, therefore I am, without that brain vessel. So that's another. The catch of his bullshit is I think, therefore I am.
I mean, it's not. The whole thing is denying that I think, therefore I am. You seem to have missed that.
Well, if you don't know what you are, if you aren't accepting the fact that you am because you have a brain, or you have a mechanism that.
I have a computer. We agreed that. The fact that it's also labelled a brain, that it's 100 million neurons strong and a god quadruplian googleplex or whatever the huge number is of neuronal connections strong, that huge complexity adds nothing to the fact of the physics of determinism of what's going on in there. Even if it's quantum mechanical processes, it's still conserving information, and it's inextricably bound deterministically by reality and the dominoes falling in reality, and even in your theory, the ping pong balling of quanti tons.
That hams you, that makes you capable of screen, that makes it possible for you to see the movie.
Yeah, exactly. I'm denying all this. I see the movie. That's now he's conflating Pyro's metaphors, which are useful in the context, but not in a fundamental way, I don't think, with my position. I'm denying there's the little homunculus watching the video strip.
And what's your explanation? Oh, we have the evidence that you have 100.
Well, the explanation is the same as what you started with. We're just a computer, yeah? We're just ping pong balls bouncing around in a world of existence that's formed some structure, just like the structure of a computer, and it's a Turing machine making ever more structures that's form the notion of calculation and form the idea of that it has its own purposes without actually concretely being able to justify those in the context of a deterministic reality.
Billion strong neural network that's doing that, or let's pretend.
Oh, that's really soothing to his flock, you know. Yeah, he has no idea that there's 100 billion neurons. Inmendham knows all about evolution. Nobody knows about evolution, the truth of evolution, more than Inmendham. Mother Nature put us in this competition. That's undeniable. Never mind the fact Mother Nature selects us.
It's not a brain. You're just some mechanical screen on Leptonia, and they're just shooting laser beams at it, and it makes this thing amming happen.
And like I said, there is no amming happen. The way you talk the fact that you think there's an Hamming gap in when scrutinised is found out just as a way of speaking.
Which one is there evidence?
Your Turing machine outputs your voice saying, I am humming. And when I tell you it's your Turing machine just making these vocalizations in the air, you say, no, but I'm really humming on the inside. And then I say, no, that was just your Turing machine telling you to say, no, but I'm really humming on the inside. But then you say, no, but I'm having an internal dialogue. And I say, no, that's just your Turing machine telling you to say that I'm having an internal dialogue. And if I, for a moment, accept the idea that you're thinking, your Turing machine is deluding you into thinking that there are all these worthy regions in the brain. You know, you've got like your conscience, and it's putting it into the government arena, onto the floor. We need to do this because I feel guilty. And then there's the rational self saying, we need to do this out of self-preservation. And then there's the other part of the brain saying, we need to do this because we're gonna die if we don't. That's the fear part. And this is just all a manifest structure, where one structure deludes the other structure into thinking that, in a sense, his part is actually existence and important in the scheme of things.
Or which one?
And this delusion has evolved by selection. It's turned out to be a good way for a machine to work semi-cooperatively and gobble up more resources than other machines which were less capable to delude themselves into the existence of this specialness.
And sounds like, looks like, smells like, walks like, quack.
Oh, it's organized, but I thought I might go back to this 16-minute point. Was interesting. I forget what he was saying, but we'll see.
Like I said, it's all just a perversion of language, and you say, why would somebody go to these desperate lengths to...
I mean, you'd think you'd exemplify and say, listen, I'll give you a quote of just exactly how, you know, and give the whole sentence. Listen to what Hitler has to say. I quote him. He says, blah, 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 blah. Now, isn't that such a perversion of language? You know, you see how he takes this metaphor, which is untrue. He takes this concept, which is untrue. It's untrue for this reason. And he juxtaposes them, and he surreptitiously suggests that you supplant one idea with the other idea. I don't even know what perversion of language means to him, but he's never quoted me in a full sentence of meaning to demonstrate how I pervert language.
To attempt to credibilize fairy tales.
Yeah, see, so don't worry, my little flock. You know, he's making fairy tales. He perverts language. If he didn't because perhaps plenty of his flock don't understand fully what I'm saying either. Just the way it goes over his head, the whole point. But he's just worried that his flock might be a little bit confused and bewildered and thinking, you know, they don't understand that Hitler's business. So I need to reassure my flock and explain to them that, you know, don't worry, he's making fairy tales, he's perverting language, so don't worry if you don't understand the language of information conservation and so on.
And incredibilize a rational observation of the thing we're observing as being a reality.
What? Who's incredibilizing? You're incredibilizing, you should be incredibilizing. I think he meant, actually thinking about it, He's trying to draw on the word incredulity, which he fucks up so many times.
Not, okay, a projection made specially for me, a movie just for me.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that in that video. In fact, I've never said it.
Made by the special movie producer. That's a Three Bear story. There's no evidence of it. It comes from exactly the same place as all the other Three Bear stories. It's a fantasy. It has fantasy written all over it. If you
These notions. Well, this is just, that's another way. That's, you know, of his. I'm wrong. I'm right. You're wrong. You're despicable. Is it's so obvious. It's got it wrote all over it. That's his. You know. Some people might say it's common sense. It's self-evident. One of his popular things is I'm right because it's got Inmendham is right written all over it. Yeah, well, that's enough. Half-hour video, bit of fun before I get to it.